Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you're all doing great. I hope during the 2x Sacred Shard we just not came off of, hopefully you got something good. Let me know if you got anything especially good during that event. I got a Dupe Lady Kimmy, and then I opened up 10 Ancients and got a Dupe Scar Torsus as well. So nothing great, but a Dupe Scar Torsus, which is kind of weird to say. I actually kind of like because he's Undead Faction, he's a dupe, and I got a Siffy. So basically, if I can work towards the Guardian faction bonuses or whatever, I can hopefully add some speed to my Siffy at the end of that. And I do have a dupe Siffy as well. So getting dupes doesn't seem to be that bad of a feeling anymore, which is definitely a complete turnaround from what it used to be. A dupe Scar Torsus would be like, oh dang, a dupe Scar Torsus is terrible. But either way, hopefully you guys got something good. Hopefully if you were pulling for Calvalax, you got him. But yesterday, I did a community poll on YouTube. You guys may or may not have seen it. I don't know how well those get pushed out. But either way, I asked which champion you guys are going to be going for. Now, I couldn't fit all the champions. Unfortunately, I could only fit 5, I believe, and Tomb Lord was left off. However, I did have a lot of people commenting that they were going to go for Tomb Lord. It looks like 57% of people are going for Sir Nick. Unfortunately, if you know the history of my channel, I don't have a Sir Nick to do a video on and where you'd use him. I'm sure I could borrow one from somebody else, but honestly, I don't like Sir Nick that much because I lost to the guy who won in the champion training event last year. I spent too much money and got a $400 Jingle Hunter, essentially. But either way, Sir Nick's a great champion. If you can go for him, definitely a very good champion from early game and progresses very well in the game as well. Not all these champions I can say the same about. Some of them are very well early, very good in faction wars, and then they kind of die off. You can kind of see here, Manaya, not amazing. Fushan's actually really good, and I would like to make a video on him down the road. Looks like 9% of you guys are going to go for him. But today I want to talk about Maulie. Foley was pretty close to Maulie, but I did just pull Maulie like last weekend, I think, maybe during CVC, but I just pulled her. So I want to talk about Maulie. Maulie actually has a pretty close place to my heart. The reason why I say that is because you guys have seen this account, but this is actually not my first account. My first account is actually right here. It says Tyrauku alt, but that's because I had to take the name Tyrauku and I had to make a filler here. But as you can see, Maulie is level 60 here. Now, she wasn't my first legendary. I think she was my second legendary. When I first got her, I was kind of like, she's good, but I don't know how good she actually is. But she actually quickly became one of my favorite champions on the account. And I actually did get a dupe of her as well, which I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Actually, I don't even play this account anymore. I play it so little that we actually have the recall quest going on. But either way, the Maulie here, I'm going to go over a breakdown how I used her on this account. I actually have a video on my channel. It's like a year or more ago. If you guys search in Tyrauku, Maulie Tankard, hopefully this video overtakes that other one in the search engine optimization, because that other video, it's not great, I don't think. The Maulie breakdown that I did for that one is very specific. So the Maulie here, she has masteries that I don't have on my other one, okay? So this is the masteries I used to use, and these are the masteries that I'm using right now, which I did just now build this, like fully max this Maulie out. Before this video, she was level 1, which I had a strategy for why she was level 1 as well. I'm going to go over that. But this is the masteries that I'm using for her right now. May not be perfect for your situation, but going for this extra accuracy, the extra turn meter boost, I'm using her mostly in the arena, but for the extra turn meter boost, the extra accuracy, Lore of Steel for some hopefully extra accuracy and speed from that perception set, Evil Eye for some turn meter reduction. Not a huge thing here, but extra turn meter reduction is nice. And Sniper, it may be a dead mastery, but it also may help boost Evil Eye. I'm pretty sure it does help boost Evil Eye's chance to land. I'm not 100% sure, but other than that, Sniper doesn't do anything. I can't extend any of her debuffs anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. Honestly, she doesn't require that much to be a very good champion. So on this other account, I'm going to go over this real quick. This mastery setup here was used for Spider 20 tanking. So having her A2 ability apply provoke to all enemies for 1 turn, and then has a 50% chance, which thinking of, I don't know if Sniper benefits that 50% chance, making a 55% chance to apply this for 2 turns instead of 1. Either way, not a huge deal, but Sniper, the other masteries there, I don't know if you'd really get much benefit from anything else other than, well, no, really nothing else actually. So the Sniper may just be the best bet to go, even if it's just for the Evil Eye boost. But either way, this A2 ability places provoke. It doesn't have a hit, so it just places it. 100% chance, places it. No weak hits, nothing. Just places provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. 50% chance of placing it for 2 turns instead, which is very nice on the Spider, because basically what I would do is I had a burn strategy and Maulie placed provokes. Miscreated Monster gave a shield. I ran her with high resistance. Back then, to me, this was high resistance, and this may be high resistance for a lot of you right now, but 250 resistance, 200 accuracy, it was enough for her to place the provokes on everybody, and then when she was getting hit, not taking a ton of poisons. I know I also had mentioned in the video that I ran her with this mastery right here, increases her resistance by 10 for each debuff on this champion. Basically, if she got a poison on herself, she would have 10 extra resistance, and slowly building that up basically until, max of 30 here, but essentially she'd be resisting a lot of the poisons, helping her survive. So if you do need a champion like that, if you're struggling on spiders, stage 20, Maulie's very good. And honestly, Maulie's very good in any PvE content, but this part what I'm talking about right here is more so if you're progressing through the game. So like if you're going through dragons and you're working up to stage 20, if you're not speed running any of the dungeons, Maulie can be so beneficial for basically all the dungeons. Now, maybe not Fire Knight, because Fire Knight, you need multi-hitters, and she just doesn't bring that, unfortunately. Maybe some teams you could fit her in, but I think dragons, spiders, ice golem, and maybe these potion keeps, she could be a pretty solid addition to your team, especially if you're at the level of the game where you're kind of just grinding out the runs. You're not speed running, you're not clearing waves in record time, you're just going slow and steady. You need a champion to help keep your team alive. Provoke is so good, especially on a champion who is so few demands, honestly. I mean, look at her books. Okay, we have 3 on the A1, 1 on the A2, 4 on the A3, and then 1 on her passive ability. Not very many books whatsoever, and they're pretty valuable books, to be honest, as well. She has a res. Their A1 ability doesn't do that much. She does have some extra damage if they're under HP burn, which doesn't really make that big of a deal. I mean, in spiders, I do use the burn strategy, so she was hitting a little bit harder, but we're not worried about her damage, okay? A2, provoke, and reflect damage, very, very solid. She's just a good champion overall. I think she's going to be very beneficial, especially for people who are going through those early-ish stages of dungeons up to stage 20, or you're just grinding through the waves. But the thing I really like about Maulie, and this is going to be the main focus of the video, is that while she does good for early game, mid game, she actually transitions very well into late game, platinum arena, high level arena in general. So I did climb up to plat. I'm going to try to showcase a few team setups, how you can use Maulie in your team to do very well. Also, not to forget, faction wars, very solid. Having that provoke, big help for faction wars, period. I mean, Dwarves faction, it was a little bit difficult whenever I was going through it. I think it's getting a little bit easier with Herndig, Brogni, all those type champions. Trunda, obviously, if you have some legendaries, it's much easier. And Maulie is one of those champions that does make the Dwarf faction war a little bit easier to complete. But today, I'm going to talk about how I have mine set up. I got that in the background. How I have mine set up on my main account and how I'm going to use her in the arena. So currently I have her in immunity gear with perception as well. So giving that extra speed as well as some extra accuracy. So her accuracy right now is sitting at 341. She's at 257 speed. Her speed's not bad. Honestly, I wish she had more HP. Not a huge deal. Basically, I'm running her in a team of Arbiter, Maulie, Necrit, and Herndig. If I took out Necrit, I could throw in maybe a Madame Ceres for some extra damage. I would maybe throw in somebody with a shield set. Basically, this is just a Hegemon counter. Now, I mentioned that Maulie before this video was level 1. Basically, my idea with having her level 1 was that if she dies, or if she goes below 25% HP, then my Arbiter is going to get extra turn meter. Okay, so this mastery right here, Timely Intervention, increases this champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally hero drops below 25% HP. So it's kind of difficult for, well, I don't find very many Hegemons being able to nuke through my Necrit shield, plus get my Maulie below 25% HP if she wasn't level 1 and not very well geared. So now that she's level 60, pretty well geared, I don't imagine that's going to activate from Arbiter too much, but basically in this team setup right here, what we're capitalizing on is Maulie's passive ability that fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% when this champion is hit. Okay, so assuming the Hegemon does an A2 ability, which is an AoE, she's going to get hit. She's going to boost all the turn meter. Arbiter, who is also in immunity gear, which is very important. You want everybody in immunity gear. Now, I don't have Herndig in immunity because Necrit gives him the immunity set, basically, because of his buff that starts off at the beginning of the turn. So I don't really need him in immunity, but everybody else is in immunity, and it should work out pretty well. Now, the issue with this is if Hegemon uses A1. If he uses A1, it kind of throws my team off because it may not hit Maulie. We don't know. I don't know. So being able to set the AI setup like that, it could mess things up. But as you can see here, Maulie actually boosted in front of my Arbiter. So my Arbiter is sitting at like 300 and, well, I think maybe a flat 300 speed. But because of the passive ability from the defense tree, I guess she got hit with a crit. No, she didn't get hit with a crit. She had reaction gear on. I don't know. Maybe Arbiter's missing some gear or something. That's weird. That's actually very weird. I might have to see what happened there because she shouldn't have cut in. But having that provoke is really, really good for sure, right? I mean, being able to provoke all the enemies, Warlord couldn't go. And these are plat level teams, right? So this team, well, at least it's in platinum right now. This is literally a Monday right after plat reset. So these teams here aren't like same as a few hours ago where it was very, very different. Okay, so level 77, 4.8 million player power. So kind of a middle of the road team, I guess. Now, Arbiter, my first Arbiter here, she has 300 speed flat. She has the same mastery, and Maulie is 257, right? So she boosted in front of my Arbiter, which is crazy, okay? So she typically shouldn't do that. Let's see what happens here. Now, this team isn't necessarily a perfect example. I mean, the Hedgie's going to hit. It's going to be fine, but they're not a speed team. So I don't really have to worry about not going first against them anyways. Having this provoke should help out quite a bit. Obviously, we're going to get resisted by the people who are actually running any level of resist whatsoever because we only have 341 accuracy, right? And having Lydia in the lead with an extra 100 has a big difference there right off the bat. So this team works very well in general, but it's specifically a Hegemon counter for the arena. Hegemon's super annoying. Normally, anybody with immunity gear is good to counter Hegemon. Immunity gear plus Necrit. Necrit by himself is amazing, okay? But I mean, well, I'd say I could drop Necrit, but I can't. Because if I drop Necrit, I need an immunity nuker here. Let's go ahead and keep doing this. There's a lot of different things you can do with your Maulie, and a lot of different setups you can run with Maulie in the arena. But ultimately, what I wanted to get across to you guys is that I don't know what the deal is, why she keeps cutting in front. That's kind of crazy, actually. My Necrit's not in immunity. It doesn't really matter. I don't really need him there. But the main thing I want to get across is that when the life token system comes out, Maulie may very well be a pretty solid option for you to consider going for with your life tokens because of her very good utility early game, mid game, and in faction wars, and then her good utility later on in the game as well, being able to be used in the arena. Even dupes of her, even dupes of Maulie are actually pretty daggone good. Now, let's see what happens here and see if she still is cutting in. Because her speed gap is big. I didn't realize that percentage turn meter boost was actually that significant. Okay, so she didn't cut in that time. Broke everybody. Remember, it's not a hit, which is incredible. If it was a hit, it would have a chance to be a weak hit against Magic Affinity champions, but since it's not a hit at all, it has no chance, okay? So these teams right here that very well may be faster than me, and even if they're not, they have a Hegemon. So if I took my normal arena team in there against the Hegemon, they're going to mess me up. So like, watch this, okay? Well, if you're this far in the video, you're probably going to watch this. I probably ain't got to say, watch this 13 minutes into the video, expecting you to have, well, maybe you did lose attention. So everybody's stunned here. This Hegemon's in stun set. It's a bad day, okay? This is a bad day. Now, my Siphi's 357 speed, not the fastest, but she's pretty fast, right? But it doesn't matter. Hegemon makes the speed game irrelevant, but I go in here and turn this team on instead. They have 230,000 player power. Let's see what their, team power. 4.6 million player power. And let's see how this team works. I assume this Arbiter's fairly fast, right? Their Hegemon isn't set to use as A1, so maybe they didn't set their AIs. I think A1 Hegemon's typically the best because he will reduce turn meter if he has Evil Eye of the Arbiter, because he does it the fastest person. But let's see. So we provoke everybody. Foley counters, obviously. Kills Arbiter, which is kind of bad, but the Maulie cut in. I wish Arbiter would have done her stuff first. I need to fix that. I might need to boost Arbiter in speed a little bit, or take the defensive mastery that allows Maulie to get even more turn meter, take that off of her. But here we just use the A3 on Arbiter, and we should wipe out the entire team. Another obviously pretty important part of this setup is having a nuker who can one-shot the enemy team, essentially, right? So Trunda, Herndig, I'd say Fushan. Fushan's a good nuker, but being Force Affinity has his downside against Duchess. But if you're going against teams like this, he may do perfectly fine. So another decent option there. There's a lot of other people you can use that could do very well against, or very well as being a nuker, okay? Because the idea of this team is you're not going against super tanky people, right? So if you're using Maulie on a defense to cut in like this, you're probably going against teams like this. Teams where you're using a fast champion, a not typically very tanky champion, being Sify, especially if she's on a speed team. If she's on a defensive team, she might be pretty tanky. But this team, I can assume pretty likely that they're not going to be built to take very many hits. But being 245,000 team power, they're probably geared pretty well. Now, they may even go before me, but here we go. So we're going to provoke, hopefully, everybody. So everybody got to provoke. Even if they were faster than me, it wouldn't even matter. And you do want to keep in mind that you want to try to keep these champions speed tuned somewhat. Like my Herndig right now is sitting at like 190 speed, because if Maulie does get her provoke resisted, they can cut in, right? So they can mess you up still, even though you are going first. I mean, because especially against speed teams like this, you could have too big of a speed gap in your champions. But basically with Maulie, I'm just worried about her going pretty fast. So I want her to be speed tuned with the Arbiter. Right now, she might need to be slowed down a little bit, but I want her to be speed tuned with Arbiter. I want her to have good accuracy. The accuracy doesn't matter that much, but if I want her to actually take a turn, and the accuracy doesn't matter that much, as in like, I'm not worried about having 500 plus accuracy, a good level of accuracy, so like 300 plus, 250 plus, depending on where you're at in the arena, a good level to where you're not just missing literally everything. A good level like I have right now on her, she has 341. I don't even have an accuracy banner on her. I've literally not even equipped that, and in lieu of getting more speed instead. I think this is a little bit extra, more beneficial to me, basically. Honestly, well, I'd say I could glyph that, but she's doing okay where she's at. I could throw this on her. She won't go before Arbiter anymore, hopefully. 240 speed and double reaction, so she's not going to take very much damage either. She's going to be probably getting regular hits pretty often. I mean, 2 reaction accessories, that's pretty good. Maybe I even use her on defense. I don't know. See as we go on. But this is the issue, is that with this turn meter boost, is Maulie going to stay speed tuned or not? Or is she going to get cut in on? So this is the big downside right here. She got cut in on. Obviously, getting cut in on is not at all what I want to happen. I would rather my Maulie go first before Arbiter than get cut in on. Obviously, the most ideal situation would be Maulie going right after Arbiter, being speed tuned perfectly, but having that defensive mastery where she gets boosted turn meter, I think adds a little bit extra layer of RNG that I don't actually love having in there. I completely forgot about her res. I could have resed Arbiter last turn. Not a huge deal because we can still finish out this match with a win. Either way, guys, speed, accuracy, get some good tanky stats from Maulie. She works very good in the arena. Shield set, the immunity set, both work very well. If I was to drop Necrit and had Maulie by herself, I may very well put her in a shield set. Just depends. I mean, depends on how much you value that provoke from her. But the shield set is very good as well, keeping your team alive. Immunity set works perfect against Hegemon countering because he can't lock out your abilities. Decrease attack, none of stuff, not a big deal. Obviously, decrease attack doesn't matter to Maulie anyways, but she's not getting any of those debuffs whatsoever placed on her. Now, Masteries, you can obviously have several different builds depending on where you're going with. The build I have right now for my Maulie's Masteries are basically set up to where focused on the arena. And I may even go in there and remove that defensive one that I mentioned because it seems to be throwing her off with Arbiter's speed tune, or maybe I just get Arbiter to be faster. Ultimately, that's my end goal, is to just make Arbiter faster. But until I can get some better immunity gear, that's not really an option at the moment. Unfortunately, my immunity gear is kind of trash, to be honest. Like, well, the speed stuff, it's not that great. You got triple roll, double roll, and a single roll. The shield right here is really what's lacking, to be honest. So either way, guys, hopefully that gives you a decent idea. We're going to do one more match. A decent idea that if you weren't 100% sure who to go for the life tokens, or maybe you haven't seen how good Maulie actually is, maybe now you got to see a different side, and maybe you decide to go for Maulie because she's actually a really good champion. I enjoy using her in the arena. Obviously, Hedgie, for me, is a super annoying champion to go against, especially if you don't have a very good team set up to counter him. Necrit, for me, used to be a very good Hedgie counter, but now that I got Maulie, I can make an entire immunity team, and it works out even better because I don't got to worry about fighting that speed fight as much because of getting that extra turn meter boost from everything that's going on with Maulie, with the possible divine intervention or whatever as well. So with that said, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Good luck. Let me know what you guys got during the 2x Sacred event if you got anything good. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.